morning, everybody. Okay, we're a little late today, but it's Thanksgiving, and I kind of expect that from everybody. So let's give a few minutes so some people can get in here. Be right back. All right, I'm gonna give 5 more minutes and I'm gonna get started. How do you just take a picture? All right, let's try to talk to one person on there. Two minutes. All right, it's 9:15, so let's go ahead and get started. Good morning, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving. It's me back for Founder Friday again. My name is Tommy McCoy. I'm the CEO and co-founder of HaulShare. HaulShare is a web marketplace that connects people needing junk removal services with local haulers. And I've said it a million times, so hopefully, the people listening to this now understand that, know what we do, know who we are, and know where we want to, be and see and follow all of our content. So each Friday, you guys know that we jump on here. One of us, either me or Abby or Whitney, we jump on here and we talk about business tips. We talk about life tips. We talk about encouragement and motivation, and we talk about ways that you can improve yourself and your business and your life. And most times, this stuff kind of all relates back to what we're doing in our lives. So it's a great way for us to kind of give you an inside look of what we talk about here at HaulShare. And another good reason to watch is that you can use our tips and implement them right away in what your business is doing. So hopefully you guys enjoy the talk today. We're a little bit behind. Whitney actually has to take her dog in because the dog's not doing well. So hopefully everything works out there, and then we can have her back next time. I believe she's talking next week. So I'm by myself today. So let's go ahead and get started. Last time I talked about entropy, and everyone liked that. So I kind of want to continue that with, I kind of want to change that up because last week it was more so a emotional and it was science based, but it was more of a life and how can I actually put it? It was more of a life lesson that you could apply to business. But today we're going to use actually strategy, something that's really important. And if you haven't seen behind me, we have the word focus up there and it's circled, so that kind of gives you a tip of what we're talking about today. So focus. Okay, what does that mean to everybody? Focus, what does that mean? And to me it means centralizing all of my energy. Okay, centralizing all of my energy. And why is focus so important? And why is it that you don't see many successful people that have a lack of focus? Right? If you think about that, when I try to think of things, I like to reverse engineer them, right? And say, okay, if this person is successful, not what are they doing, but what are they not doing, right? Think about it that way, and it helps you build this mental framework. Well, today we're talking about focus and why focus is so important, not just for us as people, as parents, as siblings, as mothers and fathers, and I guess that's parents, as teachers and whatever it is, right? Business people. Why is focus so important? And in a business world, focus is important because you cannot do everything for everybody, right? That is a simple, very easy, basic business principles. You cannot serve every single customer in your market, right? Let's say, we're in the waste management industry. And although we have a pretty, simple model where it's like, people put stuff out, we go and pick it up and we take it away. It's a simple model, but there are little small pockets within the industry that I think it's important, especially as an early company, to go ahead and get to focus on, right? Because if you try to do too much for everybody, it doesn't work out, right? And you can take that in a personal way, right? Where if you're doing too much for even your siblings or your family or your friends, and they're not reciprocating that back to you, you start feeling less compelled to do something in the future, right? So it really does apply to life, and I try to make that focus, and I try to get you guys to understand that a lot of this stuff is really just how we operate on a normal day-to-day basis. So focus is vital. Focus is critical. Focus is something that you definitely need if you want to take your business from you're doing a couple $1,000s a month maybe, but in order to really get to that next tier, that $50,000 a month, $100,000 a month, you gotta focus. You gotta focus on your market, the target market that you want to do business with, and it's difficult because a lot of times you have to turn down opportunities, right? And that's something that we experienced a lot here at HaulShare early on, is, we wanted to just do business. We wanted to, just bring money in and build and grow as fast as we possibly can. But, sometimes you can overextend yourself if you're doing too much for too many people, right? So focus is what's going to drive this conversation today. Focus is what I think we all need, not even just in our business life, but in our normal life. Focus, because I believe focus is what's going to differentiate the people that are successful today and the people who are going to be successful in the future, because the world is full of distraction. Okay? The world is full of distraction. Every second of the day, every minute, every text message, everything, the world is full of distraction. And I think the longer that you can stay focused, the longer that you can, sit and grind and work through an issue and work through a problem, I think, that gives you a better opportunity to be successful in the future. So today we're going to talk about how we can use that, how we can use focus as a strategy to move forward with your business, to move forward with your spouse, to move forward with your friends and family, whatever it is. Okay. So I'm going to give you guys, so I have a Christian background, right? So I'm going to use two examples. I'm going to use a Christian background example, and I'm going to use a more secular world example for people who don't really follow the Christian faith. Okay, so we're going to go, if you have your Bibles in your care, that's what people typically say when you go to church, right? If you have your Bibles in your care, we're going to be going to the book of Matthew, chapter 14, verse 22 through 33. And you can look at this book on your own. I'll tell you the story. Okay, so Jesus was with his disciples on a boat. Okay, and I'm paraphrasing this for people so that you can understand the concept of focus. Okay, so Jesus was on a boat, right? And he was going around and he was performing these miracles. And at this time, he was really starting to build up steam. Like, people were really starting to figure out who he was. He was identifying himself as the Christ, right? The Son of God. And people were confused, and some people were excited, and some people were upset. And he started to build this crowd up. It's kind of like when you first start going viral, right? When you see a video that goes viral, or you see someone that goes viral, it's, everybody has this attraction, right? Of the light and the attention is all on you. So Jesus was going around performing these miracles, and him and his disciples were on a boat. Okay, so he was trying to elude and evade some of the crowd because the crowds were getting massive, and there was only a few of them on the boat, and it could be overwhelming really easily if you weren't careful. Okay, so Jesus was on a boat, and they were trying to get across the lake so that they can get some comfort. They can be alone, they can have some private time with him and his disciples. So he finally does that. He then leaves the boat and goes up to the mountaintop to pray. Okay. Early the next morning, he comes down back onto the boat. Well, he comes back down to the lake, and the disciples are still on the boat waiting for him to come down, and they see him off into the distance, right? They're on the boat, they're on the water, they see him at the shore, and Jesus begins to walk on water to him, right? This is one of the paramount stories in the Bible and the Christian faith, right? Which Jesus is walking on water. You may know nothing about the Bible, you may know nothing about Christianity, but you probably heard the story about Jesus walking on water, right? This is where that story comes from. So Jesus is walking on water, and his disciples see him and they're terrified, right? I mean, I can imagine seeing someone start to walk on water, how frightening that would be. So they're actually terrified to see him doing this, just like many of us would be, right? And then, they say, Jesus, if this is you, call out to us and tell us to come to you. And one of the disciples, Peter, gets out on the water because Jesus says, come, gets out on the water, and he's walking towards Jesus, right? He's focused. He's focused on Jesus, and he's walking to him. And that is a metaphor for our lives, guys. Okay. So when you want to do something, when you want to build a business, when you want to build, anything in life, right? It starts with trust and it starts with focus. Okay. So Jesus says, come to Peter. Peter gets off the boat and he starts walking and he's looking and he's focused on Jesus. Okay. All right. I don't want to get too biblical, but this is an important story that everyone should know. Not just for, religious reasons. It's for faith and for ways to enrich yourself. So Peter starts walking to Jesus, and out of the corner of his eye, he starts to see the wind and the clouds and the storms. Okay? And the moment that he starts focusing on the winds, the clouds, and the storm, he starts to sink. Okay? So the metaphor there is that he loses focus. He takes his eyes off Jesus. He takes his eyes off the prize, right? He takes his eyes off the end goal. He takes his eyes off the business that he wants to start in the future, right? And starts to sink. Okay? And he then cries out to Jesus that he's sinking. Jesus then comes to him and lifts him out of the water and says, the famous quote, "Ye of little faith," right? So that is a metaphor for stay focused, keep your eyes on where you're going. Don't be distracted by all these things that are going on around you. Be focused, stay exactly on course, because eventually, if you just work long enough, if you work hard enough, if you persevere, you focus for long enough, you will achieve. Because today especially, it's so easy, and I tell my partners all the time, it's so easy for us to achieve our goals because everyone else is so distracted, right? If you could just sit and be focused for a little while, you'll be okay. Okay, so that's the first example of how focus is important, right? How it's critical to your success, how it's paramount that you build not just yourself but your team of people around you that are focused towards something. Because I'm telling you, it's nearly impossible to start anything today with anyone that can focus for an extended period of time. It's just something that doesn't happen. It's rare. And if you find those people, stick by them, stick with them, because that just tells you how many people want to get married today, right? Not that many people, because it's hard to stay focused, right? So that's the first example. Okay. So the next example that I'm going to use for everybody is what we found that happened in World War I and what we found that happened in World War II, and how that was critical to our today's geopolitical environment, right? Does anybody remember what happened on June 6th, 1944? All right, I know we have 2 viewers here, but maybe someone's a history buff and someone understands what happened on June 6th, 1944. Give everybody a second. Okay, nobody knows. All right, so on June 6th, invasion, you're right. You must have looked that up. Okay, not many people know that. Okay, so it was D-Day, right? The invasions on the beaches of Normandy, right? The invasions on the beaches of Normandy, and how that is kind of framed. You didn't look it up? Okay. Damn, that's really good. That's right. You are a teacher. That's really good. That's really good. Okay, so June 6, 1944. Why is that important to us? Why is that relevant to us? Because that is the exact day that the Allied forces invaded the beaches of Normandy and fought off. Well, it really started the fall of the German forces that were conquering all of Western Europe and maybe all of Europe alone, because the Germans in World War I were taking nearly every Western country by storm. And obviously we all know what ended up happening to Hitler and all these things. So it's important that we understand why this happened and how it happened, right? So the strategy was not much different from what I talked about with Peter and Jesus, right? The strategy was focus. Okay, focus. Why was focus important to the Germans, right? So, why was focus important to the Allied forces, right? Here's why. Okay, so on the western front of France and on the western side of Europe, it kind of looks a bit like how our West Coast looks, like, right, how California looks. Not sure if you can really see that, but you have German forces lined up all throughout the western the western side of Europe, right? And here we have where France is kind of positioned right there on the western front. So if you can think about it, it's kind of where, if you could adjust for where we're looking at today, it's kind of where California sits, right? You have Oregon, then you have we're coming down the west coast of California, all right? and they were heavily guarded. German forces were heavily guarded against the west on the west coast of Europe, because that's where Britain is, right, and that's where America is on the Atlantic. So they had to make sure that these powerful nations and these powerful militaries and navies weren't conquering, because if they were to conquer, that's where they would come from. So the forces were embedded across of the western front of Europe, right? And the Allied forces knew that. They said, okay, if we were to invade Europe, we need to be focused in where we go. Because a year prior to Normandy, they attacked a beach without their focus power and failed miserably. They had, I think they had something like 9,000 casualties, right? And as they were learning from their lessons, and they lost in their first war, in their first battle, they then decided, okay, where do we need to focus our energies at? Where do we need to focus our military force at, so that we can have a successful conquer? And then over the year that they were figuring this out and determining where they wanted to attack, they found that Normandy was the perfect place to attack, right? And they then centralized all of their energy. They centralized all of their military power. It's something like 100,000 boats, 100,000 tanks, hundreds of thousands of of soldiers and things of that nature. So what they did was they then attacked right here at Normandy and centralized and focused all of their attention right here in this area. Okay. Instead of attacking here and attacking here and attacking here and attacking here, they attacked all of their forces right here. Okay. And that battle there at Normandy was the first battle that then allowed us to, or the Allied forces, to take out the Axis forces, and then eventually dissolved Hitler's stronghold on Europe, which then freed and liberated not only France, but all of Europe that had been conquered. So that's why it's critical for us to understand the strategy behind focus, okay? And I'll give you guys a practical example. So when we first started HaulShare, we wanted to serve everybody. We wanted to be the company that if you had something that needed to be removed, any guy, any gal with the truck could come and pick it up for you, right? I think I've given this example before. And while that model, it sounds great, it's hard. It's really hard on a team that doesn't have the size and the expertise and the resources and the capital that is required to build that apparatus. Okay, it's really hard to serve a huge market of people, because you don't have enough time in a day, especially when you guys are part-time when you first start out. So we did that, right? And we learned really quickly that serving everybody doesn't work for us that well, because the quality of service is starting to decay a little bit, right? And that's what's important to me and vital to our team, is that every person that uses HaulShare gets a uniform customer service experience, and so that they understand that whenever they use us, they're getting an exemplary service, right? So we said, all right, initially we're going to go and we're going to give access to all these people that have pickup trucks, and whenever we push them order through our application, they'll go and they'll haul it, similar to how Uber works. They'll pick the stuff up, they then dump it, right? Well, we learned early on that it was extremely hard to go and find all of these people with these pickup trucks, right? Like, just think logistically how difficult that would be, right? You would have to then build some sort of marketing plan. Okay, I have some experience in marketing, but that's not really what my thing is. My thing is business development. So you have to build this marketing plan. Okay, you have to either do flyers or something like that, and some social media advertising, whatever it is, to attract these people with these pickup trucks. And I think one of the first things I did was I went to the Nova campus at I think it was Annandale's Nova campus, and I drove around and I found everybody I parked my car. I made these little flyers. I think I might have a couple of them here. Do I have any of these flyers here? I don't think that I do. I don't. Well, I ended up making these little flyers, and they said, drive with Haul. Oh, it wasn't even HaulShare at the time. It was like drive with Whip, and you can be your own boss, and you can make like $1,500 a week. And I took these flyers and I canvassed the entire parking lot of the Nova campus. And whenever I saw a pickup truck, I would drop a flyer on the truck. All right. And I ended up getting like 15 people that sent us an email and followed up and said that they were interested. But when I followed up with them, it was a difficult process. I had to track them down. I had to call them. I had to onboard them. I had to tell them about the application. I had to, see what their capabilities were. I had to figure out what their truck size was and the color of their trucks. And I had to get their license and I had to get their insurance. So there was so much stuff that we had to do early on. And it took a lot of time focused on them, and we really should just be focusing on building the business, right? Because if you don't build a customer, you don't have a customer, you don't have a business. But I was spending so much time, right, focusing on something that really wasn't driving revenue to our company. I was focusing on things that were important but weren't critical. Okay. And early on with a startup, just like with a baby, every minute, every day of that baby's life is critical, right? And especially early on, right? When a baby is first born, those moments and those minutes, when they're first born, are the most fragile moments of their life, right? And if you don't handle those moments with care, you could easily end the baby's life. You could damage the baby's, mental capacity for the future. So many things can go wrong, and the same goes for business, right? The earlier you want in your business, you have to take care of it like it's a baby. You have to monitor it almost every hour of the day. Over time, just like a kid, it starts to grow up and it starts to take care of itself. And then eventually, when it's matured, the baby will then take care of you, right? So that's kind of how business works, right? But very early on, I was focusing all of my attention on something that wasn't critical, right? And it took way too much time. It took way too much effort and energy from me, who should be going out and getting business. So that had to obviously stop, right? So what we did was we said, okay, enough with trying to find all these random people and train them and have insurance for them and find them. Like that was one of the hardest things, was just, simply finding them, right? So we then said, all right, we're not going to focus on that because it takes too much time away from what we really should be, putting our attention to. And we're just going to onboard companies. We're going to onboard people who know what they're doing, that have their own insurance, that understand how to do the job. So we don't have to really train them. All we really have to do is onboard them onto our technology so they understand how to use it, right? And that was a moment that literally changed our company overnight, right? Because now we had people that we could rely on without giving them so much attention. And me at the time could just focus all of my energy on building the business up, right? So it's so vital that you find that, right? And it's difficult, guys. And I understand it. It's difficult to understand where you got to focus at, right? Because again, in your industry, it may be hard to find that. It may be hard to find where that small niche is, right? Where that small target is, but you have to find it, okay? So not only was that an example for us, but we also served way too many customers, right? And a lot of early founders do that, and a lot of early companies do that because they just want to get money into the door. But eventually, you'll learn that every customer isn't the best customer for you, right? So here at HaulShare, we experienced that exact same problem, right? Where we were serving every single person that would do business with us, every person that would sign us a check, every person that would swipe their credit card, we would do business with. And that's not a great strategy because you can't serve everyone in the market, because typically your incumbent is doing that, right? Someone who's already entrenched into the marketplace. And in our case, it was 1-800-GOT-JUNK. It was college hunks hauling junk. It was these guys, they were already servicing everybody. So how would this little startup, how would we compete against them, right? We can't. We would just get washed away over time unless we were building or we had some unique value proposition that we were offering them. And we didn't. At that time, our service was really similar to what they were just doing. It wasn't that innovative at the time. And if you think about it in some of the businesses that you guys are starting or thinking about starting, it's similar to that. Like it's hard to see where there is innovation in an industry, right? So what we ended up doing was saying, okay, we get a lot of business from tier one customers. Our tier one customers are our B2B people. So our real estate agents and property managers and businesses and stuff like that. And that was a small margin. We were making money there. We were getting requests from them to come pick stuff up, but it was a small margin of what we were actually making. But we noticed that whenever we got a request from them, the volume of the order was a lot bigger, right? From the flip side, we were getting business from our tier two customers who just are, your everyday customer, your single family home customer, your mom, your family that lives in the suburbs with 2 kids and, has a single family home. We were getting a lot of business from them, but it was only at like less than $200, between $100 and like $200. And when we were looking at these property managers or these real estate agents, we would get like $1,000 orders or $800 orders or $3,000 orders. And while they were fewer, there was more value, right? So we said, okay, we understand that 1-800-GOT-JUNK is already entrenched into the marketplace. That is the top of mind company that people think about when they think about junk removal, right? I mean, you guys probably think about that. You definitely don't think about HaulShare yet because we're obscure. Nobody knows who we are yet, right? Yet. So we said, all right, we're not going to directly compete against them because simply we can't, right? We don't have the scale to compete with them yet. So what we'll do is we'll focus on that 20% of property managers and real estate agents that are giving us $800 requests, $1,000 requests, and it's repeat business, which is what you want, right? Which is what that is your golden goose. If you could find a customer that you onboard one time but gives you repeated business over and over again, that is the business model that you want to go after. It's kind of what you see with all these streaming platforms, right? Have you noticed over time they went from renting videos, right? So back in the Blockbuster days, right? If anybody's old enough, they went from the business days. They went to the rental days of you having to go rent a video to now the days where you can stream, right? And it's a subscription service, right? So they went from you paying one rental fee, and if you didn't bring it back, they charge you some sort of late fee, whatever, right? That's where they made their money at. But now, because movies and things have been digitized, they can now put it on the internet where you can get access to it as many times as you want, but they charge you a subscription for it every single month. Because they know if they charge you one time, right, each month, that you'll continue to come back and you'll continue to pay that monthly recurring fee every single month. And that is where you can then scale your business out. And that's why these companies are growing so big. That's why you see everybody starting to mimic this business model, because it's critical to have your customer continue to pay you over and over and over again, right? You don't want to be in a business where, you serve someone, you give someone a product and they stop using it. They don't come back to you for a year, right? That's not a great business model. So if you're thinking about a business that does that, figure out a way that you can start building some, residual revenue out of them month over month over month, right? So we said, all right, we're no longer going to serve everybody, right? We'll take their money, but our focus, right? Our effort, and in German terms, it's called a blitzkrieg, right? We're going to blitzkrieg Normandy, right? This is how we're going to storm the beaches of Normandy, right? This is how we're going to keep our eyes on Jesus from the earlier metaphor with Peter. We're going to focus all of our energy on one section of our market, right? And dominate it, right? Dominate it. Do as much as we possibly can to dominate that market, because it will catch people by surprise. And that's exactly what the Allied forces understood. They knew if they could focus all of their effort and all of their energy in the military force in one section, in one area, they could dominate it, right? And then they could build out from there. And that is exactly the strategy that they used. And that's how they won over Nazi Germany and the stronghold and the control that Hitler had over Western Europe and Europe, right? And that began the early liberation of France today. So understand that is a strategy that a lot of people use, and you guys can use it. Like, that's something that you could literally do overnight. Is you can say, all right, there's no way as an early stage company that I can go out and I can get attention from every single customer, right? It may not happen. Hopefully it does, right? Maybe you guys can go viral and you can build your business out overnight, but typically it doesn't happen that way. Typically this is an 8 to 10 year grind where you slowly gain market share. But if you go look at every company, Facebook, they started at a college campus, right? And then they opened up to multiple campuses. And then they opened it up for average people. But early on, their market and the people that they served were college students, right? They served college students. And it's important that you guys understand that concept, because they focused their marketing on one small segment of the market, right? College students is just a small segment of a huge social media market, right? And then everybody knows what happened to Facebook. It then blew up to be a multi-billion-dollar industry with billions of users now. Not my preferred platform, but whatever, they own Instagram and I'm on Instagram. So it worked. So you can go and if you look at every big tech company today, typically they started modestly. They started with a smaller market. They gained traction. They conquered small areas and small people over time. That led them out to a bigger size market, would then help them materialize and gain traction, and then scale and get the resources and the capital they needed to scale up. And now they serve a lot of different people. So today, that's why it is important for us as early stage founders and small businesses and small companies that we start small, okay? And it's not a bad thing, guys. Don't worry about not building and having a huge customer base initially. Who cares? Because that also gives you the time to work out the kinks, right? If you're working with people that, understand that you're a small business, understand that you're building and growing, and when they talk to you, they understand that you can get right back to them and fix the problem if you have one. And they'll be willing to work with you. Trust me, we've had things happen, and, our customers, they love, I could just call them up and I can just talk to them and say, hey, this is what happened. We can fix it right away, and we go ahead and do it. So it was very critical, very important that we understand focus and the power of focus, and how that you can use it as a strategy as an early stage company. Gain some small amount of traction. Don't be embarrassed by it. People love it. And then hopefully, as you guys develop and you grow your businesses and you can grow, that you can start biting off a bit more of the market, and then you will start getting noticed, and then you'll realize that they're watching you. And then when they're watching you, that's when the game starts. The game is on, right? And you guys can compete and battle back and forth. And Walmart started that way. Walmart started as a small variety store in, I think, Arkansas or something like that. And now you see Walmart today. I'm not sure if it's the largest company in the world now, but for 30 years or so, it was the biggest company on the planet that made Sam Walton and his family very wealthy. So that's my Founder Friday. I think I went 3 minutes over the time, but I hope you guys enjoyed that. Did you guys have any questions before I jumped off? I'll give you guys a second. If not, enjoy your Thanksgiving Day weekend or Thanksgiving holiday weekend with your friends and your family. I have a lot to be thankful for. My sister is here watching, so I'm thankful for her. I'm thankful for my family. I'm thankful for all you guys that, I know you guys are tired and you jumped on and you watched for a second. I really appreciate that. You guys are the beginning. You guys are our early target market that we're trying to broadcast our stuff to. Hopefully we have thousands of people watching our lives in a year or two. And the early people were very influential, and we can go back and acknowledge you guys for jumping on and being one of the early few that started with us. And just, a few other things that we need to talk, since you guys don't have any questions. We are doing a Christmas holiday party a virtual holiday party where we're going to be donating toys and gifts for, I believe the team and I believe the people we're working with is, let me get back to you on that. Forgot the actual name of, Whitney's going to kill me for not remembering, but we are going, it's, what is it? Feed Fast. I forget. Give me a second. I'll figure it out. We are partnering with them. And we did a holiday party last year, but obviously we can't because of COVID today. So we're doing a virtual happy hour. And you guys can jump on. You can drink wine with us. We'll have someone that's going to be introducing some wine. We're also going to have a friend of our company's that he's going to come on and talk about his company and what they're doing. It's going to be really fun. It's going to be exciting. So I hope you guys can join. The link should been posted. Can't find it. We'll continue to post the link. You'll see it. I'll put it up on my personal Instagram so you guys come and join and watch. And it's going to be a moment where we can just come on and and tell each other what we're thankful for, talk a little bit about business, taste some really great wine. It's going to be an interactive session where you can actually drink the wine that we're presenting in the happy hour, so you can order it. The link is in our bio. So if you go to our homepage or you go to our Instagram page, you can click our link tree. That'll take you to where we're donating our toys. That'll also take you to where you can buy the wine and you can have that real-time experience with us when we're live for the happy hour. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be interactive. So hopefully you can join. And it's for a great cause because you can then donate, and you can either donate toys or you can donate money to the partnership and the teams that we're working with. So that's my Founder Friday. I'm a bit overdue, and I took a little too long, but hopefully you guys understood the talk. Hopefully, guys, you enjoyed it. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Again, happy Thanksgiving, and I love you all. I really appreciate the time that you took to watch me today. So take care, guys. Talk to you soon, Tia.